here. It's 7 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. So welcome to February the 29th, the Kingdom Way. I've been sort of playing around with computers all day. I was saying to Pat just beforehand that I had done a recording on the Kingdom Way on oysters. And I did the whole recording and I forgot to turn the microphone on. So I'm like, okay, well, that didn't work. So I did it again. So rather than eating one can of oysters, I ate two because that's what it was cooking. That's a lot of oysters.
Right. Are they good
How was
leftover? Are they good
No,
leftover?
are
Like
they
we,
good leftover?
yeah,
I
if you
don't
had
know. I ate them all.
money. Oh, okay.
I ate them
It
all.
wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be hard.
No, it's a small can, I figured.
Yeah, yeah.
Like much to me. I mean, I can eat.
Right. Right. Can't we all?
I'd never had oysters before. Somebody said they were
Oh,
good for you. So I thought, well, let me give it a try. I looked at them. I got, I'm not eating these things. These look disgusting. But then I thought, well, maybe if I kind of roll them in some, what do I use? Pork rind crumbs and then fry it in bacon fat, maybe it will be tolerable with some spices. So that's what I did. And it was okay. It wasn't too bad.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
bacon covered the taste.
Right. Right.
We used to eat
Mo-
them on crackers, but I mean now, just like that's the only way I've ever ate a canned oyster. And other oysters I think you can put in clam chowder, like, but not the canned ones, but real ones.
Okay.
But these were canned ones, right? That you did?
Yes, canned ones. Yeah, canned.
Yeah.
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 So on the
So
cracker, did you spread it?
no, you would just pop it on the cracker, put salt and pepper on, and then eat it. So
No.
it's uncooked, sort of like
Yeah.
pickled, pickled,
Oh my
like
God.
like pickled
Yeah, like-
herring.
No,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't
Well,
stand any of that.
herring, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
no.
can eat that for breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh my
Everybody's
God,
I used
or
to have a lot of
lox.
herring when I was a kid.
There's that movie star Sally.
Right, yeah, right.
There she is.
I
The
started
one and
watching.
only.
I started watching the interview, but I just ran out of time, so I'll have to go back and tune in again to YouTube.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah, she did a good job.
Good. Yeah,
well, thank you.
I'm sure she did.
And then Pat is coming on next week.
Uh-oh.
Oh, good.
Yeah. One day, I don't have it in front of me, but it's
The
the
7th.
7th at 1 o'clock, I think.
Right. It's a date.
It's a date. And Mo, I think that did you agree as well? I think so. I don't know.
No, I have to get doing better before I come on.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's
No,
fine.
not even just doing better. I have to just be in a different headspace because life has been just too crazy. So I would rather
Fine.
be in a little bit of a better, maybe after my trip to Mexico, I'll be ready to be interviewed.
Yeah, one of the most rejuvenating things we can do is have a vacation. So when are you going
Amen.
to
You're cutting out. Sorry, sorry, Cathy.
again, eh? I'm having some internet problems.
There, I can hear you now. What did you say?
When are you going to Mexico?
March the 13th to the 22nd.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Like
March.
I've got 2 traveling days. I'm only 7 days there, but I've got a couple traveling days on either side to get to the big airports.
Right.
Mhm.
Very good.
Are you going
So
with
how did you-
friends?
Yeah.
I'm going with my daughter, and so I
Aw.
couldn't be more delighted.
Yeah,
My only daughter, and yeah, I'm just gonna be really, really looking forward to having some time with her.
Sounds
oh,
nice.
that's really nice.
How do you work your eating plan, your food plan while you're away?
I was actually just thinking about that because thanks to Sally, I'm hooked up with this, what's this lady? Barb Raveling. Like I ordered all her books, but
Oh,
she has
yeah,
a little,
right.
she has a little thing in here I just read on holidays, and it said, what's your goal? Like to maintain, to lose, or, and then, you know, she guides you through some questions, and I might like just bring some of these questions along. This book is called I Deserve a Donut, which is a really good
Oh,
book.
yeah, right, right.
So I think, and in Mexico, there's lots of good fruits, and I'm allowed fruits. And
Right.
I also like eggs and beans for breakfast. And so I'm never tempted by Mexican pastries because it's terrible. So I'm okay just to eat rice and beans and salsa for breakfast. And Mexican food's pretty clean compared to some ethnic foods.
It
So
is.
I think I can do okay while I'm away. Mhm.
It is.
Okay.
You know, there's an app for that. I deserve a donut.
Yeah, I saw that in the book, but I don't have it, but maybe I'll have to see about that. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, whatever emotion or whatever you're thinking, you can go on and it gives you scriptures to.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been really, really profound. It's sort of been my friend this week.
Yeah.
Because it does some really, really good things. Yeah. I don't have them all at the tip of my tongue right now, but she says some amazing things.
Yeah. All her stuff is good, I think.
Like it just makes sense. Yeah.
So generally, you've had a good week then, as far as things have been going for you, Mo.
No, I would say not yet. Not yet. It was a tough weekend because I did report cards and I also was sick. And so like headachy, and then I had all the stress of doing all these report cards.
Yeah.
And so that was just hard. And then everyone is sick at school, kids are sick, my class sizes are way down, and I'm battling a little bit of a cold, but I'm not sick, and I'm not going to get sick because I'm doing vitamins and
Right.
things. And I'm not going to just declare that. So I'm actually not sick. I have a sickness chasing me, and it's just not going to catch me. And so, but I've had some good days and some good choices, and I've had some bad ones. So,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, sometimes you can feel that. It's like there's something around. I don't have it, but it's near. Like
but
as far as a
since I
cold or
started
whatever.
really focusing, and spending some time, like, so to me, I can almost, the harder I try, the worse I do, until I do the hard thing of sitting and thinking and reading. For me, that's so beneficial. It pays big dividends for me. So, but if I'm just running around living my life and just really trying to focus hard on my food, and Barb Raveling says that, she says, do not focus on the physical battle, focus on the spiritual battle and renew your minds. Because if you focus, as this week, even as I really tried to focus on the physical battle about losing weight and eating less food, I actually ate more. It felt like it at some points.
Yeah.
So her advice to say, don't focus on the physical battle, focus on the spiritual battle and renew your mind. So I'm trying to do more work in that area. And consequently, I think it's just going to move way more quicker into the other area.
Yeah,
So,
whatever you focus on gets bigger.
yeah, that's what I found. And I was like, what kind of week have I had? Like, it's terrible, you know? And I'm like, but yeah, that's what you got to learn from that and say, okay, so that didn't work, focusing on that.
Yeah,
So,
focusing on the positive things you are doing. It's a big thing of focusing on the positive instead of the negative all the time.
yeah. And focusing, like trying to get closer to God instead of just always just trying to nail the food piece, like, because it pays bigger dividends when you spend time reflecting and being in prayer and being with God. It just pays off more.
Yeah, because if you just focus all the time on a diet, the diet can actually become your God.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not doing a replacement here. God has, priority, and yeah, the rest is just in obedience to him, bit by bit by bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he has the focus for
Mm-hmm.
sure. What about you, Miss Sally? How did your week go? I know you got your famous interview.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, my food has not been all that good. I felt uplifted today. I was in the Rock with somebody named Ruth Darling. I don't know if you've run into her. She's Christian, but I think she spends most of her time right in the rock. But I thought she'd been there a long time. It turns out she joined the Ark just right almost maybe a week before me. But anyway, she had terrible numbers with her liver, especially, and diabetic. And when she came in, and she just got a doctor's report this morning, she was exuberant because her liver had completely normalized, and her
Oh, wow.
all her numbers were good, and the doctor was thrilled. Yeah. So I don't know. That just really bolstered all my thinking. She said that she lives in Canada also. So many people from Canada here, and that she's somewhere where that lives like practically on top of a farmer's market or something. So she gets all these fresh fruits and vegetables, and she just has been eating them constantly. And so I had 10 ounces of vegetables for lunch right after that. I'm never one to, in Brightline Eating, you're supposed to have 20 ounces a day. It just never happens for me. But I had a bunch, and I don't know. I just felt kind of invigorated by her success story, and so today I've been bright.
Good.
But it's been a struggle for the last 3 months.
Yeah. So in Brightline Eating, do they have a specific list of vegetables that you can choose from for that 20 ounces?
Basically anything. Yeah. The real starchy ones. Yeah.
Not the starchy ones.
The real starchy ones, corn and squash, and I forget a couple others. They tell you to use sparingly. They don't really tell you to not use, but
right. Yep.
At one point I don't like vegetables, and I just didn't know how to get them in at all, and somebody had suggested mixed vegetables. It's corn and beans and peas and carrots, and that was a lifesaver to me at the time. So that's another one. They say use sparingly, but it was the only one I could get down. So I still think of that as my gateway into vegetables.
Do you like
soup?
soup?
There's a number of people like myself that just don't eat vegetables at all.
Yeah.
Makes it even simpler.
Yeah, I do feel better if I eat them. I think that I do.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
We're all different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to go where God leads you in that respect.
The one thing that's really important and is just to stay off the sugar, flour, and processed foods and the seed oils. I don't know what you know about seed oils, but did you know that seed oils have a half-life of 4 years? So what that means is that if you eat like the highly processed industrial seed oils, so we're not
Like
talking
canola
about
oil or something.
right, canola oil, those kind of things, safflower oil, rapeseed oils, stuff like that, but not coconut and not extra virgin olive, not those ones. We'll leave those ones on the okay list. But the other ones, they have a half-life of 4 years approximately, which means that after you've consumed it, 4 years later, half of it is still found within cell membranes.
Wow.
And then 4 years after that, half of that is still there. So it's just sitting around and it's not doing anything good. Some people think that that's the reason that people actually are having such issues, even more so than sugar. Whether that or not that's true, I don't know. But it can be really damaging to the body. So the highly processed seed oils. Yeah, there's
what about avocado oil?
No, not avocado. Well, avocado's fine. Avocado, coconut, olive, those three.
Okay, I think those are the three I use.
There's an app called Weigh-Keto. Okay, it's free, and it tells you if it tells you what is really a terrible processed foods when you enter it in there, and I don't have it yet. I want to get it because I think you're absolutely right, Kathy. They're putting things in our food that we don't even recognize are in there unless we really looked into the ingredients and all. And who does that on a regular basis, really? I'm sorry to say that, but we
Yep.
should. But with that Fujicate app, it tells you exactly, the processed part of foods when you enter
Yeah.
them in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Food
and it's like the
Kate?
stay away from the bees. So the bees basically is anything that comes in a bag or a box or has a barcode, the triple B,
Hmm.
right?
Oh,
And
yeah, you're right.
those seed,
Makes
right?
sense.
The
Mhm.
seed oils are put into everything. Even
Mhm.
when you buy olive oil sometimes, or
Right.
even avocado, sometimes what they do to cut the cost is they add these highly processed seed oils in it and they cut it with that.
I just read
Wow.
So
that. I just
you
read
really
that.
need to read your labels,
Yes.
and for some things it's just worth buying better quality.
Right. Absolutely.
It's scary what's been done to our
Right.
food supply.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Ready to move on, folks?
What did you
Okay.
say? A box or a barcode or what?
Yeah, a bag, anything comes in a bag
Mhm.
or a box or has a barcode.
Mhm.
Okay.
Don't eat
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep, you're right.
So I think where we left off was on chapter 3, if I'm correct about that. And I think we left off on gratitude. I'm pretty sure we were talking about gratitude when we left.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because, food, and we just talked about this a little bit a couple of minutes ago. And that was with Mo. And she was talking about how our focus needs to be on God and not on the food. Likewise, our focus needs to be on people that God's brought into our life. We've got so many opportunities in life. So when we have a meal, we don't want to be focused on whatever the dish is, but we want to be focused on the people that are there at the table and enjoy the people and see what's happening in their lives. Proverbs 17:1 says, it's better to have a dry morsel where love is than a house full of feasting with strife. I know one of the churches I used to go to, we used to have what was called tea and toast. So you would have somebody over after church, not for a meal, because that could be really stressful for a lot of people because either you
Right.
can't cook or it's expensive, but just tea and toast. And that's it. Just keep it simple. And it was really
Love
nice
that.
because the focus wasn't on food. The focus was on fellowshipping, being with the people. So we want to have our conversations, just pleasant conversations at the table. I don't know what happened when you were growing up, but I know with my family, we sat around the table and we would talk. How was your day? What did you do today? Da, 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 da. And when we have pleasant conversations and we're eating our meals, we can digest it better because our stress is lowered. We don't have all those high cortisol levels that you get with stress. And those are also linked to weight gain. And we talked about eating alone. So some of us eat alone. I eat alone quite often. You guys eat alone. And I used to put a Bible at the place where Jesus would sit, play worship in the background, just keep it a nice atmosphere. So it's a life-nourishing dinner with the Lord. Restocking our pantry. Make sure your pantries are stocked with healthy food, because when you are tempted or when you're really wanting to have a craving or whatever, you're going to grab for whatever's there. Or even when you're hungry and you don't have time to deal with it, you've got so many things happening. So if you've got healthy foods to grab, even if you ate a little bit too much, it was at least healthy food that you ate. So get rid of the unhealthy options. The bags, boxes, barcodes. Goodbye. And if you know that certain foods are really a temptation for you, then yeah, get them out of your home, get them far away from you. And that's just the best way to go with that. And maybe, well, maybe you'll have that food maybe while you're out, because then it's portion controlled, if you have it at all. I think I talked about this. I'm sure I did. The root of the craving, knowing what the root of your cravings are, where did they come from? Why are you craving that specific item? Now, I know sometimes we crave something because there's a nutrient deficiency. That's possible. But most times we crave something because of an emotional reason. There's something about that that has an emotion attached to it. Even when you smell something, because the olfactory glands, there's only a very thin layer between that and the memory bank in the brain. So you smell something and you get a craving for something because you have a memory that's associated with that food, with that smell. So breakfast, that's kind of controversial. Now, some people think it's the most important meal of the day, but when you wake up, we have what's called the dawn effect. So your blood sugar is a little bit higher. And when your blood sugar is higher, you're not hungry. Now, how many of you wake up in the morning first thing and you're hungry?
No.
Usually it's delayed a bit. Yeah. So if you think into nature and how God would have made things, we didn't live off alarm clocks. We would eat when we got hungry. We wouldn't eat because it's now 7 o'clock in the morning, you have to eat, or it's now noon, you have to eat. Never. We would eat when we got hungry. And so it really makes you question, are we supposed to eat by o'clock, or should we wait until we get hungry? Any thoughts on that?
Definitely. Right. Yeah. I know, well, when I was a child, my mom used to make breakfast for my grandfather because he lived with us. And I could smell the bacon and the eggs. And he ate a full breakfast. He was a German guy. And he ate a full breakfast, a pot of coffee, uh, coffee cake at the end. Okay. And so when I woke up, I could smell that. And like you're saying, was I hungry? Probably not. But I couldn't wait to get downstairs as a child and eat my breakfast, So
Yeah.
he had to actually learn about hunger, like you're saying, Cathy, right?
Yeah, I think oftentimes we lose touch with hunger signals because food is always available to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah, I
don't
know
eat
when
for a while, you'll know.
I did the Gwen Shamblin
I did that too.
the Way Down workshop, and like that was one of the things she talked about. And I think it was when I finally sort of tuned in a little bit more to hunger and fullness, because up to that point I wouldn't even think about them. I just always thought I was hungry. But it was
Right.
quite interesting in that season. I It was almost like a clock. I would get hungry at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That would be the first time I felt like putting something in my mouth. And so I think it's good for me to think about this even today. Like I'm not doing that particular whatever book or anything, but I think, yeah, like sometimes why would I eat if I'm not really hungry? Am I fearful? Am I fearful that I'm going to get too hungry? And there's food everywhere. I've never actually starved, and none of us have. So I just think maybe it's like a free pass to, if I'm not hungry, well then don't eat, because like why would I eat? Like as long as it doesn't cause me to be out of control at my next meal. And I think that's just a personal thing. Just everyone has to balance that in their own way. But I really think like it's almost like a gift if I'm not hungry. Okay, well then no, I don't have to even worry about what I should or shouldn't eat because I'm just not hungry right now.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, if you push it past hunger, then you're setting yourself up for a binge.
Right.
But if
Yeah,
you're
I think
just
so, yeah.
waiting until you have hunger a little bit, I think that's quite acceptable.
And I
I mean,
think also
not famished.
my body accepts whatever I give it. Like if I say, well, you're going to have those carrots and that apple, and if you're hungry, it looks pretty good. But if you're not really hungry, it goes like, I'd rather just have chips,
Mm.
or I'd rather have this or that. But if you're truly got a little bit of a hunger hanging around, your body's quite happy with something very healthy because it's actually a little bit hungry.
Yep. Yeah, I
It
do the
doesn't,
I
same
agree with
thing.
that.
Like I have foods on hand, so I have maybe burger patties or boiled eggs or something on hand. If I'm hungry, I'll eat that. Now, if I'm craving something else, then maybe I'm not hungry.
Right.
So if you have something available that's healthy, then it'll be appetizing if you're hungry. Hunger is the best appetizer.
Right.
Yeah. And then what about the speed of eating?
Mm.
So they say it takes 20 minutes for the satiety signal to get to the brain.
Mhm.
So you've eaten your meal, it takes about 20 minutes till your brain recognizes, oh, I'm full. So we need to slow down our eating. Some people will put their fork down in between, or maybe they'll use chopsticks to slow down their eating, or whatever it is. Now, I've talked about this before. I don't think that it takes 20 minutes for the hunger signals to get from my stomach to my brain. I think it takes a full hour. Yeah. And then also some people will chew, which is actually a good idea. When you have food, to chew it until it's pretty much like baby food, like a puree. Not that you're just swallowing pieces.
And I had another
Sometimes.
suggestion for somebody, like you're eating those vegetables. We were talking about eating vegetables, okay? I don't know about you, but I never cut green beans up. You know what I mean? But if you start cutting up your vegetables and making them smaller, so it takes more time, to eat them, that helps also.
Yep. Cutting, eating small bites.
Mm-hmm.
I do eat very small bites.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people actually count their chews. I don't think that that's necessary, but hey, if you like to count how many times you chew, go for it. It's all
Yeah.
good. The whole point is we want to slow down our eating so our brain knows that we're full. And the digestion of our food actually starts in the mouth, right, with amylase, the enzyme that's released there. And that starts to break up the food so we can digest it without having, stomach issues.
Wow.
Now, do you guys eat your meals at a specific location, or do you kind of change that up?
I eat at the table with my husband.
Okay.
Yeah. I eat either at the kitchen table or in front of the TV.
And I always mostly eat in front of the TV because there's nobody else here.
Yep.
We
See,
talked about this.
if I'm here alone, I eat in front of the TV in my chair.
Yeah, we
If
talked
I'm with
about
my
this.
husband, we sit at the table.
Yeah, I don't have a husband, but anyhow, we've talked about this before about having an eating chair. Okay, so I had to
Yes.
give up my eating chair and get a little snack table. It's a different situation. I'm eating. I have a little table in front of me. I'm not just eating in a chair, and it
Right.
works better recognizing that.
Yeah, because we just get into these habits, right?
Mhm.
And it's so easy just to we should have a different place for eating than we're there all the time,
Right,
like
right,
a relaxing chair or whatever should be different. But
right.
no, this chair is the be all and end all for the most part, unless I'm in the
Yeah.
office, which I'm not right now. So
Yeah. I like the
time,
idea of eating at the kitchen table, but it depends. But I really like your idea of it's a little off the subject, but of saying grace before, and I don't know whether you still call it grace, but a prayer afterwards to kind of define this is the beginning and end of a meal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as a child, that's what we did. We always thanked the Lord before our food. And then at the end of the meal, we would thank the Lord again, and we did devotions. at the end of the meal. So that's kind of how I grew up.
Yeah, I like that idea of defining this at the end of the meal, having maybe some hot tea ready and say, do you call it grace at the end, or you just call it a prayer?
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I
Whatever
love
you
the
want to
word
call it.
grace.
But I like what you're saying there, Sally, that have something that defines the end of the meal. So you're telling
Yeah.
your brain, you're doing it consistently, that at the end of the meal, I have whatever the cup of tea or whatever it is happens at the end of the meal. Now your brain knows it is over. That meal is
Yeah.
over. So if you have something consistently, that would really, you know, solidify that. The neural
Right.
pathways would say, hey, meal over. And that would prevent the snacking, you know, that habit of just, let's keep grazing for the rest of the evening or
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah, I tried that a couple times, and I forget all the time, but hopefully I can make it a habit. But the prayer before and after, and it makes sense really to have the prayer before and after.
And
Yeah.
And I just paid a lot of money to get my teeth cleaned. And one other inspiring thing just to take care of my teeth, as well as to finalize the end of a meal, is just to go brush my teeth or use my water pick. And then
Oh,
my
yeah.
teeth are all clean. And I hate using my water pick, and I hate flossing and all that jazz. So if I do it, then I'm not going to want to eat it again because I don't want to floss again, you know? Like that's a
Right.
discipline that's been challenging for me. So
I do the
Yeah.
same thing. I brush my teeth at the end of the meal because then I get a mint taste in my mouth instead of whatever it is. So yeah, it signals meal is over. Yeah. And then also when we do serve ourselves the food, just to be honest with our portion sizes, having honest weights, honest measurements, not, you know, whether we're talking about money or food or whatever, an activity or whatever, keeping honest to ourselves. Now, most people will find the evening the worst time. Not everyone, but most people find evening is the worst. Because you're tired at that time, it might be more difficult to control eating, or you've got developed some bad habits over the years. Just sitting in front of the TV in the evening and then, you know, kind of thinking, just munch on something. But one of the good things to do is right after dinner is to go for a 10-minute walk. The reason for 10 minutes is because after you've eaten, your sugar, your insulin's going to go up a little bit, and that's going to sort of mitigate that. It's going to bring it down a little bit because you're going to use up the glucose stores that are there, that part. So it's just a thought. And
Oh, I
I
like
do
that.
that sometimes, not consistently, but I should do it consistently, but I do that sometimes.
and I suppose another thing to do, I have a little mini trampoline. So in Canada, when it's cold and I don't feel like going out after supper, just a few minutes, like you don't have to do 10 minutes even because it's such a more vigorous sport and it's sort of delightful. Sometimes I put music on and dance, like, but you just can bounce away and okay, I did it. You know, I didn't have to go put coats on and boots on and mitts on and go out in the wind. I just could do it. So that's something I appreciate that reminder because that would be an easy thing to put into my little life. Because
Yeah.
with the mini trampoline, you'd only have to do it for 5 or less minutes, you know, because of and it has lots of lymphatic benefits for your lymph system. To be bouncing on this little mini trampoline, you just lightly, you don't have to be crazy, just sort of jiggle away, bounce away.
Yeah, you can just basically stand on it and just do a little bit of walking. I do have one. And they're pretty cool. And the one I have, it folds up, so I can store it underneath my bed if I want. So looking
That
here,
sounds a little too adventurous for me.
too adventurous.
They have them with a little handle, like, like
Yes,
a shopping cart handle.
yeah. I have a support bar on mine. I wouldn't even try it without
It's
a
really
support bar.
quite relaxing. Yeah, like Cathy says, you don't have to jump. You just sort of let it spring you. Like let it just sort of spring your
Right.
body. I don't know. It's,
Mhm. Yep. So the mind, body, oh, sorry, environment, temptation. So Jacob and Esau, I think you probably remember that story,
Yes.
right? Where Esau sold his portion, his inheritance for a pot of stew for food to his brother Isaac. And of course, that changed all of history. So don't sell off your inheritance for food. In other words, God has a plan for you. And if we turn to the food, we may not be able to fulfill totally the plan that God has for us, because you're not able to, because your health is destroyed or whatever that is. So we all have a specific calling. We all have a purpose to fulfill. And it doesn't mean that God won't use you. Of course he will. But when we've got excess weight on us, it can be difficult. Supposing you were called to go to a developing nation. And of course I did that. And there was this big hill to climb. And I'm like, wow, you have to be somewhat fit so that you can actually climb that. And but it might not be that, it might be something else. Nonetheless, this is our temple and we do want to look after it. I
I
mean,
like
God will
that
use,
the Jacob and Esau analogy, that selling off your birthright for a pot of stew.
right, right. And our birthright is the purpose that God has for our life,
Right.
right? He says that his plans for us are for good. So he's got a great plan. If you're still breathing, and you all are, he's got a great plan for your life. So we don't want to mess that up.
and it might not even be that you don't have the physical stature, like that you're carrying too much weight or that you've gotten sick because you're overweight. The bondage itself
Yep.
of, oh my goodness, I ate too much today. Oh my goodness, I'm not nailing this. Oh my goodness. And all of a sudden you're really wrapped up in the bondage of it. And your friend comes for encouragement and you just barely can encourage her. And that might have been God's plan or purpose for you that day, but you couldn't do it because you allowed this bondage to reign in your life too much. And you're
Yeah.
not free to be who God wants you to be. You're not happy. You're down on yourself. And you have so much to give to that person, but yet it sort of stops you because you've sold out to the food.
Yeah, I'm
It's
glad you
so
brought that
true.
in, Mo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I remember actually, when my mother was alive, not going to Florida to visit her, because of my weight, my eating. I didn't have anything to wear. I didn't feel good because I'd been overeating for some period of time. And it really breaks my heart when I think of how many times I didn't go, just
Mhm.
because of some version of my eating disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we miss out on a lot of life,
Yeah,
if food is our fake friend.
yeah.
So creation is perfectly portioned. The Lord has created everything on this earth, everything, with a variety of portions of 6 basic elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Where is this? Oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. So there are at least 100 known elements found in trace amounts. It's these same 6 primary elements that sustain all of life, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, really.
So creation knows the portion that it should have, whether it's a rock or whether it's a in a person or whether it's whatever it is, a plant. So God gives the plants the portion of the sunshine, portion of the rain that they need to grow. He gives the birds the portion that they need to fly or the fish to swim. I just heard something today. This is a sidekick. Do you know what creature on earth has the most fat proportionately on their body? The most fat proportionately on their body
No.
Mm-mm.
compared to it is a hummingbird.
Oh,
What?
I'm
Wow.
like, so proportionately, right? They're really small, but they have a lot of fat. And I was thinking of that, and I thought, well, I guess it does make sense because the hummingbirds, like they're always going, so they need the energy. And of
Mhm.
course, the point is to draw from the fat for the energy, drawing it off your body. So I guess that's why.
Wow.
Interesting. Like we
Yeah.
look at, we would think, well, hippopotamus or
Yeah.
whatever, elephant,
Elephant.
but
Yeah.
no, it's a hummingbird proportionately.
And they're not fat, so they use it up.
Yeah.
The fact because they're using it
Yeah,
all
Yeah.
the time.
yeah.
So anyway, so God's a proportional God. Nothing is made by accident. Nothing on our body is made by accident, and nothing is maintained by accident. Everything is planned. It has a divine order, a divine design for purpose. So God has a perfect portion for each one of us. And he wants to show us how much that is, or the times, or when. Staying within hunger and fullness is the portion gauge that God has given us. So as we were sharing a bit earlier, with Gwen Shamblin when she had her weigh down workshop. And unfortunately, she passed away in a plane crash. But when she had that, that's what she was saying. Get in touch with that. Get in touch with satiety. So the hunger hormones, the ghrelin, really know when that happens. That's when you want to eat. And then the leptin, once you've had enough, what does that feel like to be satisfied? Not stuffed so you feel sick or in pain, but satisfied you've had enough. So really getting in touch with that. And how to distribute that among different foods can be gauged by focusing briefly on the Lord and asking him which food, and he'll lead you to the right choices for you, which isn't
I
always the
found
same, right?
to be really powerful. Because sometimes when you've dieted so much, you're always focusing on what you can't eat. And so I had that prayer where I said, Lord, can you show me what I can eat today? What good food have you made that I can eat today? And it just became much more a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
you can eat that tomato, you can eat that cucumber slice. Oh, okay, I love that. Like I can, like show me what I can eat, what that you've made for me that's so wonderful and delicious.
Yeah, we want to stay in the positive, not the negatives. Do you know that your brain does not hear negative? Your brain doesn't hear the negative. So if you say you can't have whatever it is, your brain will go, so I can't have a cookie, but your brain's going to think cookie, cookie, cookie. It doesn't hear the negative.
Oh,
That's a scientific fact. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I like how you're saying that. Put it in the positive. I can have this. I can have that. I can have this. I can have that. Yeah.
I learned that with animals, cats and dogs. That you don't say don't do that. All they hear is what it is. That
Right.
they're not supposed, and they think you're telling them to do it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I think I
And in
learned
that respect, we're not much different.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Pat.
learned that going to buffets years ago. I don't go anymore to buffets, but we used to go to a lot of buffets, and I'd go to the buffet table and I'd pick my plate up, and I'd say, well, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't have this, I can't have that. And I'd put everything that I said I can't have on my plate because it was no use even, there was nothing I could have. And so
Right.
so I
Right.
had to turn that around to look for what I
Yep.
can have, not what I can't
That's
have.
right.
Just like you said, that's really funny. I
Yeah.
never heard that before. But yeah, I can't have this, I
Yep.
can't have that. You go to a party, you'd say, oh, I can't have those potato chips, and all of a sudden you'd be eating all those potato chips because everybody else was
Right.
eating them.
Right. That's
Yep.
what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes everything when you look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's
I can't have
empowering.
this.
Yeah,
It's
it's
empowering.
it's empowering to say I can eat this, and like I'm still in my boundaries. I can eat this instead of focusing on what I can't, because I just find that's just driving the wrong train. I don't know, wrong train of
It is.
thought. Anyway,
It is exactly. It's the wrong train of thought, just like with the animals, right? So so portions need to be honest, and we want to please the Lord with what we're doing. We're going to stay positive, and a false portion is an abomination to God. False portions are lies. So there was a movie out. You might have seen it a few years ago. It was called Evan Almighty. Have any of you seen that?
yeah.
Is that Jim
Well,
Carrey?
I don't think he's in there. No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
No,
No, Jim Carrey, he was in the other one, Bruce Almighty. Jim
Okay.
Carrey was in Bruce Almighty. Evan Almighty, this guy,
oh, the black guy.
bas-
Morgan
he winds
Freeman?
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. Sorry, I just can't remember his name. Thank you.
but this guy was told by God to build an ark, basically. But anyway, before the flood's coming, just before this flood, there's a secretary there, says to Evan, I go to church every week. So they're about to go onto this ark. And he looks at her as if to say, yeah, right. So she says, well, I go to church every second week. And of course, he just looks at her like, come on, who are you kidding? And then finally she says, okay, well, I have been to church. So the whole point is to
Right.
say the truth, right?
Yeah.
Anything that is not the truth is an exaggeration, which is also a lie. The Israelites, they knew how necessary it was to have an accurate system of weights and measures and to be honest in handling them. So since God doesn't change, we're being told to do the same today. Leviticus 19:35 says, you shall do no wrong in judgment in measures of length or weight or quantity. So honest weights and measures are a practical application of the golden rule. The golden rule is to do unto others as you would have them do to you. So you wouldn't try to make others sick by giving them too much for their bodies, would you? You wouldn't
Right.
try to make them
No.
sick. But why would we offer ourselves a dishonest proportion?
Right.
Because the outcome will lead to dis-ease. It will
Wow.
make us sick. So one of my students a while back, Rachel, whether that's her real name or not, I don't know. I remember the situation though. So she was confused and she was offended by this African who she worked with. Her coworker repeatedly would say, so this African coworker, Rachel, you're so fat. After being offended for some time, Rachel finally approached the woman about being hurt by her comments, only to learn that the woman was paying her a compliment. So where the coworker came from, everyone was struggling to get enough to eat. Anyone who was at all rounded would have been considered very, very wealthy. So it was considered a good trait, just like it was years ago in the Victorian era. Fat is beautiful, some think, but it's
Yeah.
also diseased and it's deadly. I don't know if you know about this one, but in Mauritania, in this culture, in West Africa, even today, there's a practice of purposely force feeding their little girls from as early as
Yeah.
8 years of
Oh
age to
my.
try to put extra weight on them so that
Yeah.
they will be more marketable for marriage, and the
Oh,
family
right.
will get a bigger dowry for their daughters. So women will take dangerous animal growth hormones to increase their appetite. The cultural belief that fat is beautiful and greatly to be desired has led to an obesity epidemic in a once starving people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you
So
go from
fat
one
is
extreme to the other.
Yeah.
And in
one
this country,
extreme to
where
the other.
being, skinny way beyond what is healthy is considered beautiful.
Right. So a lot of this is cultural, and we don't want either
Yeah.
end of it. We don't want to
Right.
be skinny, skinny.
Right.
Skinny is not a good place to be. You
Mhm.
become
Right.
frail, you're
Mhm.
more likely to have osteoporosis.
Mhm.
You don't want to be there. Of course, that depends on what you're eating too. But you don't want to be really big either.
Right.
So and what is it? The BMI charts?
Body mass
They're
index.
just a guideline. The body mass
Right.
index is just a guideline. It's not, it's got to be right here because
Mhm.
we're all unique, right?
Right.
Right.
So fat is not beautiful, it's not healthy, it's not to be desired other than the normal amount that God wants on your body to provide an energy storage, give some sort of shape to you, cushion your skin, act as insulation that reduces heat loss. And within your body, there's also a little bit of fat around internal organs called visceral fat. The fat is around every cell membrane. It's also a part of the myelin sheath. Now, this one's important because the myelin sheath is what protects the neurons in your brain. It's just a fatty cover so that the signals can go quickly from one end to the other, the axon to dendrites, and then jumping over. But the myelin sheath kind of protects it there. So we need fat for our brain. So people that are eating a very, very low fat diet, that's not good.
Right.
Now we do have fat on our body, so our body will take from that fat, but we do need to have some in our diet as well. In fact, what happens for people that eat only protein and they're not eating fat, they're eating just lean protein, it's called rabbit starvation. They can get very sick. They could potentially even die from that. So let's see where we at. So the myelin sheath, that just makes it so the electrical messages can go quickly through the body. So these messages enable us to think, to see, to speak, to move, to perform the multitude of tasks that we need to do every day. Our brain tissue is very rich in fat and requires fat to function optimally. Fat provides a shock absorber for our organs to an extent for which we fall or are injured. Fat also carries biochemical messages throughout the body, such as hormones, bile, and certain nutrients like vitamin D. So God doesn't want you to starve or to live by some ridiculous man-made set of rules. He's called you to freedom. In this nation, at one point, people had to work very hard for their food, hunting and gathering and toiling 6 days a week, like the Bible says we should do, with only one day of rest. But today, most of us do the opposite. We do 6 days sedentary and maybe one day with some activity.
Mhm.
I'm
Anybody guilty there?
Unfortunately,
not guilty of sitting. I can't sign up on that one because I'm on the go all the time at this
Yeah.
Yeah,
point.
which is a real blessing.
Oh yeah,
It really
yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
Because, it helps keep you healthy. So, and I found that, working, I was moving a whole lot more, but now that I'm retired, not so much movement in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be more intentional about it at that point then, like,
You're
'cause-
absolutely right.
because
You're right.
moving is so important. Whatever movement you should choose, whether
Yeah,
and make it something that you like. If it's going for a swim, or if it's going for a stroll, or if it's having some weights while you're watching TV, you just gotta be intentional. Even make yourself a checklist and say, okay, I did it. Give yourself a happy face for the day. Okay, I did
Absolutely.
it.
So I did go for a walk today, but you know
Okay.
what I've been doing? So I've got my weight, right? These kettlebells, and I
Mhm.
Yeah.
hook my foot in there like that. And then while I'm sitting,
Mhm.
then I lift up my leg. I have two of them. So I've got this one for legs, and then I've got a smaller one for arms.
Good
My
job.
daughter has a saying. My daughter has a saying, motion is the body's lotion.
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
And
Yeah, because
yeah,
they
it's
say
way
even if
too much.
even
Go
if
ahead.
you have rheumatoid arthritis or osteoporosis or any of the
Mhm.
joint diseases, they all look a certain way, but if you've exercised, it shows up, they look different. So yeah, you might still have it, but your
Mhm.
joints look different if you have regular exercise.
Right.
Right, because it's going to help the synovial fluid in the joints, and it's
Mhm.
also going to build the muscles around the joint.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. Yes.
and I noticed, like if I don't walk for a few days and then you go for a walk, it's like, oh, my hips, right? No, really, it's so important. And so my consistency is my word for the year, to get out for a walk every day. I only get out for one usually, but I want to get out for more, maybe one after every meal or something. I don't know.
I haven't picked my word for the year yet, so I better get going before I'm too far into the year.
It's over.
Right.
Okay. Any last comments, and then I'll pray and we'll close? Okay. Father, I thank you that we've been able to gather tonight, and Lord, to keep our focus on you. I thank you, Lord, that you want to be center of our lives. Cause us, Lord, to think upon you, even as we make choices with food or choices in movement or choices in life, that our focus would be on you, that we would do all things to bring glory to you. I pray, Lord, that you would just bless each one, bless Pat and Mo and Sally and all those that aren't attending, those that might be listening. Bless them, Lord, so that they would just be in close relationship with you, attentive to what your voice at all times. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Beautiful.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Good
your
to see
time.
you. Yep.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.